All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. While we wait for some folks to join, we'll do some announcements. As always, please visit our community forum for the latest and greatest information about virtual agent and conversational interfaces. Feel free to start discussions there, ask questions, give answers. All of you are experts in my eyes, and all of you are great resources for our broader ServiceNow community. We have information already out there for the Vancouver release, so check that out. If you're watching this on YouTube, yes, this will be recorded. And if you're watching this on YouTube again, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. That way you're notified every time we upload our videos. We upload our videos every time at the end of the week, usually. So if you miss parts of this, or if you want to rewatch this again, it will be there on YouTube's on our community YouTube channel. So check that out. All right. So today our topic will be what's new in Vancouver for conversational interfaces. Now I may be asking, what is conversational interfaces? Well, that's virtual agent, that's agent chat, advanced work assignment, and sidebar. We're also going to talk a little bit about NLU, which is of course drives a lot of the virtual agents. So all of that we're going to cover, as well as do a demo as well. So that's our agenda: virtual agent, NLU, AWA sidebar demo, and then we'll do Q&A at the end as well. If you have questions, you can also put it into the Q&A button on the Zoom if you're watching this live, and we will answer them as we see them. Great. So let's talk about what's new in the Vancouver release. Now, I hope all of you have been able to have a subprod instance or a PDI instance for you to test the Vancouver release in Virtual Agent. We have a lot of enhancements for you, and I'm going to go over them. So the first one is we've enhanced the conversational interfaces homepage. So it now follows the Polaris theme, and what that essentially means is it now follows themes that you have in ServiceNow, including dark mode. We also have new UI for the settings page. So you'll see on the screenshot here, it used to be like left, right tiles. Now it's just longer rows all the way down. You can also change the scope while in the conversational interfaces homepage. So for apps that require a scope change, proactive triggers as one example, you don't have to exit the CI homepage and change the scope. You can do it directly in the CI homepage. And then, of course, a bunch of new features that came out in Vancouver. We have configurations for them in the CI homepage, and we'll go over some of them in a bit. When you start your Vancouver instance or upgrade to your Vancouver instance, don't forget the Omni Experience Standard Feature Set plugin. I know that's a mouthful, but that plugin is automatically installed for Vancouver, but you do want to update it. That way you get all the latest UI improvements in the conversational interfaces homepage, including updates to sidebar, etc. So don't forget to update that plugin for your Vancouver instance. Issue auto resolution also received enhancements. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically a proactive deflection tool powered by the virtual agent. So the tickets that get logged that a virtual agent can address get automatically deflected or routed to the virtual agent. We tap on the user's shoulder saying, hey, I can help you. And that just saves the agent a bunch of time automatically. So check it out if you haven't already. But for those who are using it, we have a brand new, and for those who have not used it or have used it, we have a brand new admin console experience that combines the homepage, configuration, and simulation all in one easy-to-use interface. We support additional languages, Portuguese, Dutch, Italian, and we improve the experience for notifications sent via email or SMS. And you can change the behavior of that notification depending on which channel you want to use. And you can have different, for example, different outreach behaviors for users. So all you need to do, I think, you just type issue auto resolution in your navigator. You'll see the admin console for that. So definitely check that out and check out the feature overall. Dialogue acts. So this is a new feature in Vancouver, and it basically enables a more conversational natural language interaction with a virtual agent. So every time you have a Boolean node, right? Yes, you can click yes or no, but sometimes users just want to say, yeah or yep or absolutely, etc. So if for anything affirmative, anything to negative like no or nope or nope, I don't want something, that's all captured via natural language. And if you want to modify a previous choice, you can actually say, hey, that question you asked me a couple moments ago, I want to change my choice, and I'll recognize that, and it'll rerun that choice. Okay, so in order to enable this feature, you need NLU, and it is currently English only. So just keep that in mind. But otherwise, definitely a feature for you to check out for your topics if you want more natural sounding language conversations. And I will demo that in a moment, so don't worry about that. I'll show you what that looks like. We have more virtual agent designer enhancements. So on the top of the virtual agent designer, we have a link called Explore Additional Topics. And this lists all the ITSM out-of-box topics. And I know there's like 60 to 70 of them, so I know there's a lot, but we list them all, including those that have spoke or plugin dependencies. Sometimes after you install that startup, you don't see every topic that we provide to you because you do need a dependency, whether it's a spoke or whether it's another plugin, etc. Well, we tell you that and now, so that's going to be beneficial. And then we do have dynamic topic blocks. So you can now have one topic block that calls different topic blocks at runtime. So you don't need 3 branches anymore for different topic blocks. You can just have one topic block that routes to the other topic blocks. So that's available in Vancouver. Microsoft Teams has a feature called message extension, and we actually use that. So we actually provide AI search within a user's chat bar now in Teams. So you can look up answers via AI search and share search results with others in Teams. You can share knowledge base articles, you can share catalog items, people cards, anything that AI search brings up, you can share. You can do that in the Teams channel or user to user chat. And then the other user, once they get that search result, if they're a ServiceNow user, they can click on it, view the item in portal. You can also configure the search results on whether or not you want to show only guest access results. So if you only want to show publicly available results, you can do that as well. That's configurable. I believe there's a system property there. Okay, so that's a new feature we have for Microsoft Teams users via the message extension framework that the Teams product provides. More features, multiple active conversations. So you ever had that experience when you have 2 portals with 2 virtual agents, but they're essentially mirrored because it's one chatbot, right? So your IT conversation starts appearing in your other portal and vice versa. And the only way you had to used to do this was to put in a skip load history or load active only or something so that to clear the chat every time you opened it up in a new portal. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. You can now set chat client context that separates conversations between, let's say, an employee center and service portal. So you can now have 2 different conversations, 2 different portals, and they wouldn't overlap with each other. So if a separation is a concern for you, or if chat security is a concern for you, this is a great feature. And it's all low code, and I'll demo this in a moment too, time permitting. So yeah, great feature here. Conversational analytics dashboard, we got some new enhancements. We have the category selector in the topics page, which is multi-select. So in the topics page for the dashboard, if you want to analyze only your IT categories topics or only your HR categories topics, you can do that now. Okay, so for those who want a more IT versus HR filtering lens, that's available. And then good news, user ID in the users page is now unhashed, so you can better identify which user is having issues, or you just want to analyze what users are doing. You actually know who the users are. Okay, if we're unable to identify the user, it'll still show up as anonymous, but otherwise user IDs are now unhashed. Last slide for virtual agent. Now that was a lot of information, but don't forget we also have Now Assist for virtual agents. So Now Assist is our generative AI powered release that came out just last week, and as a matter of fact, and we basically generate answers from knowledge-based articles and which show up in either Service Portal or Employee Center. But for this slide for this presentation, it shows up in Virtual Agent. Okay, so it's a more natural language sounding answer that provides more contextual information powered by Now Assist, in this case, Azure OpenAI, although that's subject to change. And it's just a better experience than providing Genius results or a list of links, right? Just note that this is also currently English only. All right, so that's all for Virtual Agent. I'll cover NLU now, only a couple of slides, and then we'll turn it over to Samyuktha for AWA and Sidebar. So for NLU, we redesigned the workbench for better organization. So you can see here now, we actually organize NLU models by whether they're for virtual agent, IAR, or AI search. On the right-hand side, you see we provide more resources and guidance on NLU models, whether it's for new users or existing users for smoother onboarding, right? And you could have IAR NLU model tuning within this workbench as well. Don't forget you want to update the NLU Advanced Features plugin. That gets you all the latest features. You kind of see that in the bottom row, whether it's model to expert feedback loop, relevance detection, which is new, and so forth. So you may have that Stripe installed. If you do, don't forget to update it. Irrelevance detection, brand new tuning feature in Vancouver. You can now mark utterances as irrelevant to any model or irrelevant to a certain amount of model. Okay, so that way, if you have an utterance that the NLU model is getting stuck on, or it's an innocent utterance that users constantly type that the NLU gets stuck on for some reason, and you want them to just say, "Hey, ignore this," essentially, you can now add that in a repository. So whether you want to fix the utterance or mark it as relevant, you can now do that. Great. I'll now turn it over to Samyuktha to talk to us about what's new in AWA.
For AWA, we introduced a skill level routing. That is another level for finding the right agents with the right skills. So what it means is we have added a new checkbox. It's an evaluate skill level within the assignment rule. So now if you see on the left side, the top screen, there is a new checkbox in the second row. If the admin checks this box, what this does is it will look up all the skills available for the agents and pick the relevant one before assigning the chat to that particular agent. Let's say if your agent is also checking the mandatory skills checkbox along with the evaluate skill level, AWA looks at all the mandatory skills as the first step, and then it will look for the evaluated skill levels, who has the better skill score, like an high or low. Based on that, it will assign to the right agent with the sufficient skill level. Next slide. Let's look into what's new in Sidebar for Vancouver. So now we are introducing multiple discussions on a record level for Sidebar. As you all might have been aware, in the last two releases, we have provided a single discussion per record. Now with Vancouver, it's multiple discussions per record. So what it means is, let's say you have an agent and your leadership team wants to know the updates of that particular incident. So the agent can create a new discussion on that particular record and keep them posted with the updates, like how that particular incident is getting resolved. Meanwhile, the agent needs some help from other agents or subject matter experts. They can open another discussion on the same record and have the discussion going on with them. And let's say you have a dev team and the agent wants to check with the dev team, like what's going on, is there any PRB, or when the defect can be fixed. So they can open another discussion. Likewise, they can have multiple discussions per record level. All these records will be available under the new menu tab, this record, if you look on the screenshot at the right side on the top, there's a sidebar discussion menu, the new record. When you click on that the record, it will show all the multiple discussions that's happening on that particular record. And good news is for SOW customers who are looking for the sidebar with the multiple discussions, we are also supporting for the SOW to add sidebar into it. There are manual steps available for configuring sidebar into SOW. Please do follow our product documentations for Vancouver to understand the configuration setup. Next slide. We have done some integrations of some enhancements for the sidebar Teams integrations. So now you can send more than 4 MB up to 1 GB file sharing between sidebar and Teams. Now the sidebar agents can easily find the users by looking at the Teams logo right next to the user's name, which can make them quickly understand where the user is coming from, whether he's in the ServiceNow side or on the Teams side. Likewise, the Teams logo has been available, is also displayed for @mentions and notifications for the quick identification of the user type. Next slide. We have made a change for managing teams, groups, or users' permissions when you do the sidebar integration with Microsoft Teams. Before talking about this slide, I quickly want to shout out for the customers who have sent this an idea to us and posted in our idea portal, asking that in the previous 2 releases, for the admin, it is a additional step after setting up sidebar and integration within Azure, they have to go to the sidebar tables manually and pick all the users to one by one to add permissions. It was like time taking and a manual step for the admins. So we heard those ideas and we did consider to add this particular change for the Vancouver release. So what this does is now your admin doesn't need to do a manual step. They can directly go to the sidebar console, as you see on the top screen. For the integrations level for the Microsoft Teams, when they click on Manage, it shows the third option as View Permissions. When they click on View Permissions, it will show all the Azure users for the Teams will be displayed in this Manage Permissions, and they can search for a particular user. They can do multi-select, single select, and add them for the sidebar, providing the access, not only for the group users. If there are groups available within the teams, the groups are also pulled into the ServiceNow and they can do the selection and add them easily. This saves times to the admin and it's easy for them to make these changes whenever they want to reduce the access for the team's users. Next slide. That's all from my side.
All right, so let's do some demos. Let me just show you what I was referring to by first with some of the virtual agent features, and then time permitting, we'll do a Q&A. I tried to do some during Samyuktha's portion, so let's get right to it. So let me exit my slide and go to my Vancouver instance. I'm going to start with the Conversational Interfaces homepage. Okay, we'll get that to load. So you'll notice there's some slight UI tweaks here for Vancouver, but you'll notice that I can now change my scope here while I'm in this homepage, and I have dark mode. So I go to Preferences, go to Theme, go to Dark. You can now view this in dark mode. It's the daytime for me, so I'm going to change it back to light. That's an option for you now. The other thing I want to show is the improvements in the Virtual Agent Designer. So let me go to the Virtual Agent Designer here. And you'll notice up top here, we have explore additional topics. This was the page link I was referring to that shows a list of ITSM out-of-box topics. And you'll see some of these topics don't have links yet because they have dependencies, whether it's Microsoft Active Directory spoke or other plugins, etc. And only after you install these plugins, you'll get access to these topics. And then there's some other a bunch of other topics that don't have any dependencies and that are available for you to use here. So definitely a way to explore all the different out-of-box topics as well as their dependencies. So let me show you dialog acts. So I had created a topic here called email issues. Okay, and the first thing to note, if I go to properties, this topic is NLU enabled. It's got the model here, got the intent here, and you'll also see we have a new configuration, whether or not you want to enable dialog acts and whether you want to confirm modified values. I'll show you that in a moment, but basically you need at least this toggle on for dialog acts. And I made a slight tweak to this topic. So after I asked the user, hey, do you have authentication, send, receive, slow issues? We asked, did the steps work? That's my first Boolean question. And if it did, I ask again, do you have any more questions? So that's 2 Boolean questions in a row. And of course, if it says, if I do have more questions, it takes me all the way back to the top. If I don't, it just sends me along my merry way. So let's see what this looks like. I'm going to click test here. And you'll see my first item. I'll just say authentication issues. And you'll notice here they did this in Utah where they highlight the nodes, but now they keep the highlight so they actually can see it as a sort of a pathway here. And for my first dialog acts, it says, do these steps work for you? Yes or no. I can just, instead of clicking or typing yes exactly, I could just say, yeah, it does. And notice their dialog acts runs on an NLU model that says, oh, yeah, I meant yes, which I did, right? And did I have any other questions? I do. But then I can say, hey, you know what? Instead of authentication email, I say, actually, I can't send email. And you'll notice it picked up on modify user issue. And this is the confirm modification toggle that I showed you in properties. Of course, the variable I should probably change to make it a little user friendly, but basically says you'd like to change user issue to can't send email, correct? Yes. And now it takes me through can't send email, and then do these steps work for you? Yep. Whoop. Must have accidentally clicked or typed something. Did you have any other questions? Nope, I don't. And all done. So that's dialog acts. So if you again have a topic that with a couple of yes or no questions, or with a bunch of steps or choice nodes, this will be very helpful for some of your customers. Okay, so that's dialog acts. The next thing I'll show you is multiple active conversations. So I'm going to go back to, I wonder if I have my home page. Yep, I still have it. And I'll get ready here by going to Service Portal. So while the Service Portal loads, I'll just show you the configuration here for multiple active conversations. This lets me have a conversation in one portal and a conversation in another portal without the same conversation happening at the same time in both portals. So we have a new configuration here in Settings, Virtual Agent, Multiple Active Conversations. And you notice it's turned on, which is good. So if you click on Manage Settings, you notice I have 2 contexts here. I have Service Portal. This is default, and it's default to true, or that this is true as a default consumer context. And I recommend we keep this as true. And then I had created my own called ESC. And I just clicked, I clicked New. I created the record, click Submit, and I have this context. So how do I know that SP goes to Service Portal and ESC goes to Employee Center? I'll go back to the home screen, and you put in this context key in the agent chat configuration block. And I'll show you what that means. You all have seen this before. When I go here, add to portal, I can click on this drop down. These are the portals available to me. I'll go to EC Polaris, which is the Employee Center. And, this used to be the place when it loads. Yeah, this used to be the place where you put in like the branding key and live agent only or skip load history. Well, now I put in this consumer underscore account underscore context colon ESC, and that's it. Okay. And if I were to show you service portal, it would also have this colon SP, but this is for employee center. So now let me go to the service portal here. I'll start a new conversation. I'm going to duplicate this tab and I'm going to split it out so you kind of see it split screen. I'll load ESC here, which is Employee Center. And you'll see that I could actually run a topic here, my email issues topic, and HR doesn't do anything. It doesn't mirror this. I can continue this. I could even in the HR or an employee center do run an HR topic, and again, no overlap, no mirroring, all separate conversations. All right. So I'll end this conversation here. Close this window. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the Q&A channel or in the Q&A chat window. And then the last thing I'll show you guys is the analytics dashboard enhancement. So I'll go up to the top of the home page, click onto VA Analytics, which is this link right here. Almost done here, and I'll stay a little longer for Q&A, so don't worry about time if you guys have time. So I go to the topics page here on the left. You now have this categories bar. So you notice I have an HR topic and an email issues topic. So if I were to just say, hey, I only care about the IT topics, like email, I can filter it, and now all I get are the IT topics. Or let's say I want only the HR topics, same thing, okay? And then finally in the users page, I'll show you the unhashed user IDs if it shows up for me. But while that loads, I'll try to address some questions here. Looks like my instance is just kind of frozen. Well, let's see. I'll go to questions now. Oh, there it is. Yeah. There's admin, and then this is anonymous because I had high hopped into the instance as maint user. So that's probably why it's anonymous, but you see admin there, which is basically the only user ID I've been using. So yeah, that is the analytics dashboard enhancements. So with that, I know we're at time, but I'm going to try to spend a little extra time to address questions you may have. So feel free to put them in the Q&A window, and I'll go through them one by one here. First question, can VA be enabled on Workspace as well? Unfortunately, it cannot, at least not to my knowledge. I believe Samyuktha is addressing the AWA questions. I'll leave her to that. Next question.
Yeah, I'll talk about AWA question.
Sure.
So for AWA, if you want to assign all the chats without using AWA assignment ruled routing, so that your agents can come online and pick whatever that's available in the queue. Usually it is not a recommended step, but we are hearing this question mainly from who are migrating from Connect Support to Agent Chat, expecting a same behavior that they have been seeing in Connect Support, which directly assigns to all agents. Whereas in Agent Chat, the advanced work assignment definitely looks at the assignment rules and try to route to the right agents based on all those rules. The one option for your agents to manually go ahead and assign to themselves is the capability called Assign to Me. I have shared the documentation link and also the screenshot how the Assign to Me button will pop up onto the top menu in the chat.
All right, let's see. Let's keep going with questions here. I know Sujo was trying to follow up on a previous question. We have one instance of ServiceNow. Virtual agent is enabled. We have 8 customers asking for integration with their own instance of Teams. Okay, Microsoft Teams. So the question is this possible? Yes, it is, Sujo. It is possible to have one instance connect to multiple tenants of Microsoft Teams. So if you look at if you view the documentation, I believe there's a multi-tenant documentation out there, but yes, it is possible. Next question, can you have separate chatbots for different pages in the same portal, like different topics in Employee Center? Different pages in the same portal, I don't believe you can, but if you were to do it more manually, if you were to build it more manually, it might be, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think it's that straightforward, Louis, so I wouldn't be able to recommend it. Basically, it'd probably be a decent amount of manual configuration and scripting for the chat client in the portal. I know these videos are uploaded to YouTube later. Is a PowerPoint deck available anywhere? We don't have the PowerPoint deck available. However, we do have an article in the community that goes over a lot of these features. And of course, as you note, it's recorded, so you can always view that later. Let's see here. Next question. How to keep the HR chat distinct from IT conversation, take into consideration also the interaction record created. HR record should only be visible to HR role. So yes, that's true. And that's actually controlled by the context variables that control which roles have access to that interaction record. So I believe, I don't believe, I know, I wrote an article about separating IT and HR conversations in community. So look out for that. I think it's literally called, how to separate IT, how to separate IT versus HR conversations. But yes, out of box, HR conversations have the context variables that secure them in the interaction table. And then, of course, this separation feature that I showed you is more to do with the UI separation, the experience separation. You still need to just double check that your security is up to par there too. Meg asks, you wish there was a way to organize/split HR and IT topics. I agree with you entirely in the designer. So, I'm hoping too that we look at that. But yeah, that's something that we've been thinking about for a while. Is there any Copilot plugin in the offering? I'm not sure what you mean by Copilot plugin. We do have a Now Assist panel feature as part of Now Assist. That might be what you're referring to. So I would take a look at that. It's called Now Assist panel. So you can take a look at the documentation. Yeah, Osni had a follow-up for Sam. And then last question here. At the portable virtual agent web client to a third-party website, custom URL must be an instance URL. At the web client to a third-party website. No, hold on. The custom URL doesn't need to be an instance URL, right? If I wanted to put virtual agent on, yahoo.com, right? I could, right? The client still has to connect to an instance in the backend. That is true. But the custom URL that you embed the client on, which I think is what you're referring to, that does not have to be a ServiceNow instance or a custom URL, a ServiceNow custom URL. Will tools like ChatGPT be used in virtual agent at some stage? So that's what Now Assist is all about. So if you check that out, you can use the generative AI controller and embed that in the virtual agent to provide a ChatGPT-like experience in the virtual agent. And then on our roadmap, we are providing more natural language, turnkey question and answer based on knowledge base and or service catalog. So the short answer is yes, but we're not going to just plop ChatGPT into the virtual agent. That's too simplistic in our view. We're trying to provide you with a better experience. So yes, that is something like that is coming. Be on the lookout. Great. Now I think we've addressed all the questions. Yep, all the chat looks good. So again, thank you all for joining us. Again, the recording will be up, later this week, and definitely, check out the Vancouver release. Go ahead and update that subprod instance, update that PDA instance, and take a look at all the cool things that we have to offer. And don't forget, Now Assist for ServiceNow, or generative AI solution, that's out there too. So check it out.